Okay, so I'm gonna make some zucchini bread and put it out in the sun oven. So I thought I'd do the whole recipe. I am following a Better Homes and Garden recipe. However, I'm doing it gluten-free. So I'm gonna improvise and I'm gonna put some good stuff in it too that the recipe doesn't call for. So I'm just using the recipe in the Better Homes and Garden as more of a base. So I went ahead and put an egg in. It does call for a cup of sugar. I don't really do, I mean, sometimes I do, but I don't do sugar when I'm baking. So I put in some honey. I didn't even put in a whole cup of honey because I don't need my stuff really sweet. I just poured it in probably, I don't know, 1/4 of a cup or so. That part I don't measure, but I'm not a real needing sweets. So then it calls for some oil, like 1/4 a cup of oil. And actually, I'm gonna use coconut oil. And so I'm not measuring there either. So I'm just gonna put a spoonful there and mix it up. It does call for some cinnamon. It actually calls for a teaspoon. I don't ever measure, I just dump. And it calls for a little bit of nutmeg, so it actually calls for 1/4 a teaspoon of nutmeg. And then the salt, 1/4 a teaspoon of salt. I just shake, I don't ever measure. I'm gonna mix that. I already have the sun oven preheating out there. It's like 8:43 in the morning. So it was at 150. I haven't checked it for probably over 30 minutes for sure. So, okay, the recipe does call for a cup of shredded zucchini. So I can zucchini sometimes. And so I shredded some yesterday and tried to can it, and one jar didn't seal, I think because I had it too full. So that's why I decided I'm gonna go ahead and do some zucchini bread. So I'm actually gonna do a gluten-free one for me, and then a regular one for the rest of the family. So I could drain this, but I'm not going to. I'm not one that tries to add all the extra steps, so it's probably half the jar there. It's not quite a cup, but anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and dump that in. Stir that up. And I know this is actually in a different order than the recipe calls for, but usually you do the flour and then do the liquid in a different bowl. I don't do that. I try to make it as easy as possible. So then here's my gluten-free flour here. It's really just a conglomeration of stuff. I have quinoa, I have some oats, I have tapioca flour and potato starch in there. So it does call for 1.5 cups. So there's a cup. Do 1.5 cups. Let's see how that does. Since I had zucchini in here, it's wet, it's stuck to it. I'll just scrape it out. All right, so then it calls for some baking powder. About 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. So perfect, it was already on there. And then it does call for some baking soda. And that's 1/2 teaspoon. There's some clumps in here. I better get those clumps out. Alrighty, and then I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of some xanthan gum in there because this is a gluten-free recipe. Alright, now, the things that I was going to add extra to it just to make it even healthier, and these I'm not going to measure. So I have some flaxseed meal. So I'm just going to sprinkle some in there. And then I have some chia seeds. Just gonna sprinkle some, not measuring. Then I have some hemp seed powder. Gonna sprinkle a little bit of that in there. I know this is like one big conglomeration of stuff, but this is kind of how I do. A little bit of psyllium husk. This is how I do my muffins. This is how I do my pancakes and my waffles. And then a little bit of astragalus, you know, since we can always have a boost of immunity. Astragalus is good for your immune system. It helps support it. So now we mix that all together. I don't think I'm leaving anything out. Nope. And if it ends up being too thick, I may have put too much flour in there because I didn't. If it ends up being too thick, I may put a little bit of my homemade yogurt in there just to kind of liquefy it. Or what I actually could do is just pour some of the canned zucchini liquid. That works. Okay, I think it's mixed good. I already buttered up this pan. This loaf pan also comes with the sun oven. So, and I do watch what I use, so I researched this. I didn't used to use these pans. I got my sun oven like 5 years ago, and I didn't use these pans because I was worried about the material that they were made from, because I only usually use cast iron, glass, or stainless steel. I don't remember now what these pans were made out of, but after researching it, it was safe. I wished I could remember so I could tell you. But, so I'm just going to scrape all this out. It's probably still a little bit thick, but it'll be all right. So I'm going to just spread it out here in this pan. And I know I'm using my fingers, but I'm the only one who's going to be eating it. Eating this one, because I'm the only one gluten-free. So, that's what it looks like. All right, so now we are gonna go outside and put this into the sun oven. So I wished I could turn the camera around, but I don't know how to do that yet. I'm not real tech savvy, so just don't mind me, bear with me, and hopefully I can get this. So as you can see, I already have the sun oven hooked up, and I told you when I opened it up it was at 150. I don't know if you can see now. It's almost it's like 275. So I can't see what you see. So I'm gonna go ahead and open it up, even though it's not up to temperature. And I'm gonna put the bread loaf in there. You can see, I'm gonna shut it, latch it, and then I need to see, oh, it's not lined up. So I'm gonna have to line it up. And the angle of the sun, it's still morning, so that's where it's gonna go for right now. Anyway, so hopefully it turns out, and hopefully you like this video and have other ideas to cook in your sun oven. Have a great day.